Hello everyone, my name is Griff, and today we are going to be going over the newest Gala remix. Now this had a preview yesterday, and it went live today, and I do want to go over a few parts of this because it does have some interesting things that I have changed in my initial analysis that I made yesterday, and I do want to update it for today. So before I get into any information about the units or anything like that, I do quickly want to just go over the worm sigils and the appearance rates. So if we go to the worm sigils, we will see that Armadillo, Gala and Cygia are unable to be worm sigil redemption. And then there's also Horus, Menoetius, and Gala Reborn Zephyr. And then if we go to the appearance rates, we can scroll down here and we can see that Armadillo is on a rate up. We can see that Gala is available on this banner with no rate up, which means that it will be pretty difficult to get him, but some people will. Then we also have Gala at a rate up, we also have Cygia at a rate up, and then if we go down to Dragons, we have Gala Reborn Zephyr at a rate up. So, going over these things, I just want to quickly go over the units themselves, and then we'll talk more about them in detail. So we do have Cygia, who is a wind mana caster. He's a close range mana caster. We have Armored Yachio, who is a flame blade. Originally, I thought Yachio would be a light unit to go along with the Trials of the Might that's coming out next week. Or actually, already came out, but rather she isn't, so it is what it is. Then we have Gala Leaf from a past Gala Dragalia summon, and Gala Reborn Zephyr from a past Gala Dragalia summon. Now, just before I even get into the units themselves, what they can do, just straight off based off Leaf and Zephyr, this banner is already a very high value showcase. Gala Reborn Zephyr is really good in wind. Zero mids is arguably about the same, a little worse, but Gala Reborn Zephyr really is useful in wind if you do not have him, which like I don't. And Gala Leaf is also a really good wind unit. He's kind of a pretty good slot into the backline unit. He is pretty good on AI, he's pretty good in lead. He does have a lot of things to him that really do help the team, like poison enabler and defense buffs and all that good kind of stuff. He additionally also has a unique co-ability, so that is a point to make. But looking at the two new units, we're first going to go over Cygia, who is as I said, a wind close range mana caster. An ex-Mukurushu assassin seeking absolution. Once married to Yachio's sister Momoyu, he now aims his mana caster at his former employer for robbing him of both his wife and his master. Regret guides his hand, resolve pulls the trigger. I really like this line. It's really cool, and it's really cool insight into his character. And we have his first skill, Trin Shot, deals damage to enemies directly ahead, inflicts Storm Lash, and when used directly next to foes, grants the user enemy insight. Enemy insight has 3 levels. When enemy insight level 3 is active, consumes energy insight level 3, deals damage directly ahead, and inflicts Storm Lash. Storm-like foes take extra damage. So this is really cool because it kind of focuses on the fact that he is a close range mana caster and really plays up that fact by focusing more so on his ability to do damage and buff himself and debuff the enemies from closer, and you can kind of see this when he is inflicting this at a closer range. As far as enemy insight, this does play into his entire kit, and we're going to look into it more in his second skill. Dispels one enemy buff from multiple targets and grants the users the enemy insight effect. This skill will only affect each target once per use. When enemy insight level 3 is active, consumes enemy insight level 3, dispels one buff from multiple target and grants the users calculated shots effect. This effect will only affect each target once. So essentially this is a very large big dispel area, and then he gets enemy insight again, and as I said, enemy insight is used here as well, and when he does use enemy insight on this ability, he gets calculated shots. Now he has the normal co-ability and the normal chain co-ability, but it really comes into play with his ability, which is Numb That Enemy 2. When enemy insight level 3 is in effect, increases the amount of the user's next force strike, lowering the mode gauge by 300%. This force strike will consume enemy insight level 3. Also, when calculated shots effect is active, increases the power of standard attacks by 10%, the amount of the skill rage filled by standard attacks by 10%, and critical rate of standard attacks by 10%. So essentially, you can turn this enemy insight level 3 into 3 things. You can turn it into a more powerful skill that does more damage to Stormlash enemies. You can turn it into this calculated shots effect, which gives your standard attacks more damage and, critical rate and fills your SP faster, or you can turn it into this super strong force strike that does 300% break damage, or rather 300% overdrive damage to the overdrive bar. As far as the other ability goes, he has free res and HP 70% equals strength plus 13%. Pretty basic as far as those two go. But I do think this unit has a lot of potential due to the fact that he is a close range mana caster, which means that he's not going to have the rapid style force strike on the 300% modifier like on other units, but he will have this big giant shot that he's going to shoot at people kind of shotgun style that will do a lot of overdrive damage. Additionally, he fits into Stormlash and he has Dispel, so he kind of has the two things that really, you want on a backline unit, something to dispel with, something that will work with your Stormlash comps. In that sense, he does fit into those teams very well, and he would be looking very good in Legend Gala. And most importantly about all of this is that nothing on this entire list of, nothing on the summoning page, either Cygames or Armored Yachio, is dispelled or gotten rid of by Curse of Nihility. So you don't have to worry about any of this getting removed by Curse of Nihility, which makes him seem extremely good in Jaudebaoth, because Jaudebaoth Master is really more focused on, kind of like getting rid of the group of enemies, dispelling from the final boss, and inflicting Stormlash. He's going to be able to do all that together while doing more damage while being close range as well. So I do think that he has a lot of potential. His pool is only one of the unit, former Wakim, and I believe that he will perform better than former Wakim in the long run. I haven't seen enough information to say for sure, but from the early numbers that I am seeing, he does seem to be extremely good. Next we have Armored Yachio. Yachio dons armor bequeathed onto her by her grandfather and sister to settle the score with the Mugurushu. She now wields a sword as a blade of righteousness to protect those she holds dear. So, Perilous Entity activates Perilous Force. The user's next 3 force strikes are powered up and deal extra damage to Scorch-End foes. This is cool because this is basically an upgrade of her base unit, who has a similar effect, except I believe it only works once. And this does not get dispelled, so you will have those 3 force strikes. You won't have to worry about losing those force strikes effects. Now she does have a unique force strike, which we'll see later, and she has force strike damage in her kit, so she is focused a lot on force strike. Next, she has Blossom Dance, which I believe shares a name from Xenoblade Chronicles, so it's pretty funny that they did that. Deals damage to enemies directly ahead, inflicts scorpions, and grants the user immunity to knockback. Now, the cool thing about this is that this unit is sort of similar to Christie, that she is focused a lot on being immune to knockback or not being knocked back. But the difference between her and Christie is that Christie needs or kind of relies on other effects to get what she needs. Yachio has that all in her kit, and it's unable to be removed by Curse of Nihility. So she actually won't be removed. This knockback effect will not be removed by Curse of Nihility. Neither will the strength buff, so we'll see later that she gets her not being knocked back. We can actually go into those right now. Unrelenting Blade 2 increases strength by 20% for every 15 seconds that pass without the user being knocked back by an enemy. This buff can stack up to 3 times. All stacks will be lost upon being knocked back by the enemy. Also grants the user a unique force strike that has 2 increasingly charged levels that dispels when an enemy evoked when the combo count is 15 or higher. The user will be immune to knockback while charging this force strike. So essentially, the longer she doesn't get knocked down, the more strength she gets. Now this is a passive strength bracket, meaning that she loses out on things like, for example, Mars, because you want to be stacking those passive strength brackets, but they actually aren't dispelled at all. So in a case like this, it's possible that Dread King Rathalos, a more force strike focused dragon, could be better on her. But it'll be hard to tell, and it will be interesting to see what kind of things come out of this. Additionally, she has stun res and force strike plus 50% damage, so she will be doing more damage on the force strikes. And again, her entire kit is kind of around inflicting Scorch Rend or having someone else inflict Scorch Rend and do massive damage on these force strikes and skills. Now, the good thing about her is that she is extremely good in Auto Expert Jaudebaoth and potentially a suitable replacement for Gala Leonidas if you do not have him. Now, I haven't seen any clears of just her without Gala Leonidas yet, but the general consensus is that she has the potential, or you could build a team around her to have the potential to clear Auto Jaudebaoth without Gala Leonidas in her place. So she does have an extreme use case that I feel is very important, and I feel like she has a lot of potential in other forms as well. Break damage is always good. Volk is kind of focused more so on movement, and being able to force strike around the map might be something that's useful to her. Additionally, she's also using 2 blades, which I find really appealing. As a Monster Hunter fan, as someone who plays dual blades, this is really cool to see this in Dragalia, since we did have a Monster Hunter event and we didn't have anything that was even close to dual blades. Now we kind of have someone who's dual wielding, which I do really appreciate a lot. And then second to last, we have Gala Leaf. Now, Gala Leaf has been in the game for a while, so I don't want to go too in-depth on his analysis. Essentially, he has these two modes that he switches between. One is the defensive mode, the other is this striking mode. And depending on which mode you're in, it does damage based on either, like for example, this first one either does a buff when he's in shielding stance, or it does damage when he's in attacking stance. And the second one either does more damage and opponent takes extra damage when he's in the defensive stance, or in the attacking stance it does, I actually don't know what it does because I've never actually used it in the attacking stance. It's interesting because what you want to do with these is you essentially want to switch off between the two stances while playing him. For the first one, you usually want to go for the striking stance, and the second one, you usually want to go for the shielding stance. It's pretty cool to see it because not a lot of characters in Dragalia work like this. There are a few and there are a handful, but he is a more refined version of it in my opinion because he's a lot more straightforward and a lot more, you know, easy to grasp than, for example, like Valerio, who has 3 modes that you have to think about. He is very straightforward. Almost every case, striking first skill will be better. Shielding second skill will be better. And as I said before, he does have unique ability. He has reduced strength and defense bonus plus 8%. It will be interesting to see how this will work because in the wind element, this isn't totally needed at the moment. There are other elements, like for example, Gala Alex would really appreciate this skill ability, but unfortunately she can't use it in something like a team lock setting. So we'll have to see what happens there. But he does have debuff skill time, White Sparrow's Vow, which is reduces susceptibility both Bog and Freeze by 100%, and Flurry Strength. And his co-ability, Chain co-ability rather, is actually Strength double buff. So that's really good as well for a backline unit if you want to slot him into a Strength double buff team for something else. And then lastly, we have the thing that I'm most conflicted about in this banner, which is Gala Reborn Zephyr. So Gala Reborn Zephyr works just about the same way as all the other Reborn Dragons. He has Strength plus 70%, and then he has this Wrath of the Plains effect, which if you're attuned to wind, you get this 30% damage modifier, and you get 10% of the Dragon Gauge every now and again. And he has a skill that deals damage, and then if it's not used by the end of Shapeshift, it will use itself again. So you can actually get 2 uses out of this. For me personally, this is the most appealing part of the showcase because I only am missing Gala Reborn Zephyr and Gala Reborn Jean as far as Gala Dragons go. And in total, I'm only missing 3 things from the Gala. I'm missing the 2 of them and Gala Shell. So part of me really wants to decide to summon on this banner due to the fact that I'm missing him, due to the fact that he would help me a lot in my Legends Ciela clears, kind of things like that, even though I already have Leaf. And the potential of the 2 of these units alone is already appealing enough, so it's kind of a 3 out of 4 case for me. All in all though, I will say if you don't have Leaf, if you don't have Gala Zephyr, this banner is amazing. If you want to auto Expert Jaldabaoth and you do have Gala Leonidas, Armored Yachi really fits into that place. There's a potential for Cygia to work really well in Legend Ciela and in other contexts. And if you just want to win Manicaster, kind of like I just want to win Manicaster, he does have a lot of potential to him. So that's kind of my thoughts on this banner so far. As far as the banner itself and what will come of it, the end of this banner will probably lead into the rerun of the Fire Emblem event. So if you are considering that, if you're missing units from the Fire Emblem event, you really should focus on them more closely. They are limited. I don't know the next time they'll be rerun, if they will ever be rerun. They might become permanent units, but I really doubt it. So that's going to be all from me from today. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.